All right, y'all. Part two of the NFL free agency and its biggest impact on fantasy football. Again, I have to preface this video with an apology about the mess behind me, all these boxes. Thankfully, I'm moving. All the positive energy and everything that you guys put out there, it all worked. I got a new house. THC Sports, the Fantasy Football Huddle. We will be moving on over to a new studio here within the next week. So make sure you're paying attention. We're going to be having some great new stuff coming down the line for you with our new studio as well. But like I said, just like every player that we're going to be talking about and continuing on in part two, all these boxes mean that I'm moving on to a new home. And we're talking about all the players that are moving on into new homes going into that 2022 season. The NFL had its own version of March Madness this year. Free agency was insane. Between the trades, between where superstars signed to new teams, where superstars remained. So we're talking about all those people that went to new homes, packed up their boxes, and traveled across the country to a brand new home, and the biggest impacts that they're going to have on fantasy football. This is going to be part two of that. But before we kick off part two, as always, your host, Dallas Clark, also known as Indo is my Nindo, here from the Huddle Chat Sports Show, also a part of the Rick T platform, and bringing you the Fantasy Football Huddle as you love it. I'd like to invite you, as I always do. If you don't, there's no pressure. If you do, go ahead and just skip on right to the beginning of the video. But before you do, let's smoke them if you got them, baby. Let's get it cracked off right, and let's get right into the news, baby. And just like before, this episode is going to be brought to you by my great friends over at Painters Painting. If you need a painter, call a painter. Quit wasting your time talking about those parts of your house that you want to get painted someday, that banister outside that you've been thinking about getting painted, that garage that you've been, I might get that painted. Stop wasting that time. If you need a painter, call a painter, call Mark, call Liam. They'll get you hooked up with a great estimate and get your house looking amazing. Now, let's kick it off into part two. Now, one of the biggest moves, one of the biggest news stories in this entire offseason during this March Madness that the NFL had of their own was going to be Davante Adams moving from Green Bay, moving from one of the most reliable, one of the most inventive and creative quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers, moving over to Las Vegas with Derek Carr. Now, like I said, this is one of the most eye-grabbing moves this offseason. He's not only leaving one of the best quarterbacks in football, but he's also leaving the second highest target share in the league at 31.6%, and one of only two players to have over 30% target share in their respective offenses. So you question whether Davante Adams is going to receive that same target share when he moves over to Las Vegas. I doubt he sees that same amount, because Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow both represented 25% plus target shares in that Oakland Raiders offense. I do see Hunter Renfrow taking a step down, but Darren Waller is still a very big key to this offense and a safety blanket for Derek Carr. So I see Darren Waller maintaining his relevancy, maintaining that strong tight end one approach that he always has. I see Hunter Renfrow continuing to be a good wide receiver in fantasy football, and honestly, it might even help him having Davante Adams over there, because last season Hunter Renfrow was wide receiver one for the Las Vegas Raiders. He may see less target share, but he might see more scoring opportunity because they're going to be double teaming and putting those number one cornerbacks on Davante Adams to stop him, which in turn will open up Hunter Renfrow, will open up Darren Waller. So I'm definitely paying attention to both of those targets. And of course, you focus on Derek Carr. He's going to be receiving the best wide receiver over the past few years in the NFL right now, and it's going to do nothing more than improve his game. And especially if you look at the fact that in the division that they're in with the Kansas City Chiefs, with the Denver Broncos now getting Russell Wilson like we talked about earlier, with the Los Angeles Chargers and that savant and Justin Herbert. You look at all of that, they're going to be in a division where they're going to need to score a lot and score often. So they're going to be in a very high scoring approach in at least 6 games of their season this year. So I doubt that they change their approach for their remaining 10 games. Now, I see Derek Carr being a potential top 10 quarterback this season. You've even heard Devontae Adams out of his own mouth say how good Derek Carr is and how similar he is and his skills are to Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately for Derek Carr, he's really gotten a bad rap for his entire career. I mean, he's been in the same division with Patrick Mahomes and now Justin Herbert for his entire career. The 1 year that he had the opportunity, he broke his leg in Indianapolis playing the Colts in the playoffs, and it stunted his growth. And ever since then has been playing the little brother and the small violin to Patrick Mahomes and now Jay Herbert. So Derek Carr, this season, it's his chance. I see Derek Carr being a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football this year and in the NFL this year, 100%. We definitely even talked about it on the Rick T podcast this last weekend. Make sure you check out the Rick T podcast presented by the Rick T platform. We do episodes every Sunday, and we're going to be going even earlier in the week when football season starts so that we can be a pregame for you and everybody can go about their business. But Rick T podcast and the Rick T platform are extreme fun, and we over at the Huddle Chat Sports Show love being a portion of this platform. It's going to be a great outreach for us, and it's an amazing time and such great gentlemen. We have great conversations, great games, and it's just an awesome time. Anytime we hit 35 viewers over on the Rick T podcast, we are giving out a free jersey. So make sure you tune in on Sunday and get you some new gear for the season because it's coming right around the corner. Also coming around the corner is Allen Robinson playing for the Los Angeles Rams. And Allen Robinson in Los Angeles it's just absolutely frustrating as a Colts fan, first of all, because I thought Allen Robinson in this Indianapolis offense would be amazing. However, he went to even perhaps a better fit in the Los Angeles Rams. He's been a perennial low-end wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 candidate, a very safe wide receiver that you can always plug in and know that he's going to produce numbers. He may not have a lot of boom weeks, but his bust weeks are almost non-existent. But then you also look at the fact at the putrid resume of quarterbacks that this man has had for his entirety of his career, and it gives him the excuse, and now he's moving on to a good quality quarterback, not only the best quarterback of his entire life, but the first even decent quarterback he's ever had. He definitely gives me those flavors of DeAndre Hopkins because with no matter who is taking those snaps and who is slinging that pigskin down the field, Allen Robinson gets those points. He's going to be sliding next to Cooper Kupp, the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football right now, and it's going to look great for him because he's not going to be the focal point of the defensive strategy. It's going to open up Allen Robinson extremely well this season. Don't forget, there's no Robert Woods. Robert Woods is out of town now, and Odell Beckham is recovering from an ACL tear. Even if he comes back, the ACL tear, he acquired it in the Super Bowl, so it would definitely take him a long time to return to that Los Angeles Rams roster. Enough time for Allen Robinson to establish his role as a wide receiver 1 on your fantasy football team. Why does Allen Robinson hit wide receiver 1 this year on your team? Because he's going to a high-octane offense with a high-quality quarterback. They're going to give him a lot of scoring production, and you also look at the fact that the top 2 wide receivers in snap share were Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods last season. They love to keep their favorite targets on the field out there in that Sean McVay offense. And as I mentioned before, there's going to be lots of scoring opportunity. So Allen Robinson is definitely going to be a person that I have circled on my draft board with my draft coming right around the corner. Now, another one of the biggest eye-grabbing moves this offseason was Tua Tagovailoa now acquiring Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cheetah himself. They also acquired Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds over in Miami. They made a lot of moves because they know now with Mac Jones on the rise and with Josh Allen and those Buffalo Bills coming in as my AFC favorites to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this season, they are going to have to score a lot and be very explosive this year. And all of these moves make complete sense. Tua Tagovailoa, of course, is no Patrick Mahomes. So I think Tyreek Hill is definitely going to take a dip in his fantasy football production. However, that does not mean that Tyreek Hill is somebody that I'm staying away from in drafts. I do see Tyreek Hill taking a lot less scoring and a lot less yardage. He's going to have to make a lot more magic with his own feet. Like I said, Tua Tagovailoa does not have as good of a deep ball. As a matter of fact, he was number 30 among 33 qualified quarterbacks in 2021 in deep ball percentage. Like I said, he's no Patty Mahomes, but Tyreek Hill will still remain a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football this season. I do look at Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, and you look at Miami looking at obviously coming in to a running back by committee. Now, you look at Raheem Mostert's injury history over the past few years, and it's just disgusting. I don't trust Raheem Mostert enough this year to go in on him. But that does give me a lot more reasons to believe in Chase Edmonds this year. Mike McDaniels loves that Shanahan offense where a smaller, faster running back can thrive, and that's exactly what Chase Edmonds is. Expect more check down passes for Chase Edmonds because that's a lot of what Tua Tagovailoa does. There are going to be less running options taken from Chase Edmonds than what happened last year in Arizona because there's not going to be the same quality of running quarterback as he had with Kyler Murray. Tua is not going to take quite as many of those rushing opportunities from Chase Edmonds this season. And over the past 4 years, like I said with Raheem Mostert's injury history, he's missed 32 games with injury. It's just so hard to trust him. So that makes me say that Chase Edmonds is 100% the back to go with in Miami. And of course, the tight end Mike Gesicki is going to thrive with having a better offense around him. It's going to be more high octane, and there's going to be more scoring efficiency for Mike Gesicki. So definitely pencil him in as a tight end to look at if you don't get to buy in on some of those top 4 tight ends that are a little bit too expensive for my taste. Now, our last couple of those big moves are all going to be focused in the NFL draft. 2 big Browns were traded in the middle of the NFL draft this year, and they didn't come out of Cleveland. I'm talking about Hollywood Brown coming from that Baltimore Ravens offense, and Lamar Jackson moving over to Arizona. He's going to be that replacement for DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks of the NFL season. Don't forget, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for the first 6 weeks of the season via suspension due to performance-enhancing drug policies by the NFL. Now, they are in a very high-powered offense and in a very competitive division. They need a wide receiver to step up early, and Kyler Murray needs a favorite target to replace D-Hop. And Hollywood Brown is that man. And you look at when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, that doesn't even hurt Hollywood Brown. That makes him look even better, even more tantalizing, because Hollywood Brown is going to be sliding over to that wide receiver too. D-Hop is an absolute animal. You can't discount him. You're always going to have that double coverage, your best cornerback on your team covering him, which is just going to open up more opportunities for Hollywood Brown. Kyler Murray is a better passing quarterback than Lamar Jackson. So Hollywood Brown is definitely going to be able to eat this season. And he's going to be able to continue to produce when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, especially early jump on Hollywood Brown. The other Brown that was dropped during the NFL draft was A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans. Now moving over to the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's a certified alpha wide receiver, and he's going to be lined up across Devontae Smith, and it's going to be an amazing offense for Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts steps up into a definite replacement quarterback, one of those quarterbacks that you definitely have sitting on your bench, or maybe even as an early starter on your team until you can make a better option, or until he proves that there is no better option for your team. But Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown are going to be able to eat with the quality of quarterback play that they're going to have. And you also look at Miles Sanders. You look at that running backfield that they have in Philadelphia. That Eagles offense is actually going to be extremely interesting this year. And the Eagles have a really good chance at stepping up over the average Dallas Cowboys and taking that NFC East title from them. The Philadelphia Eagles offense, I'm all in on. You're looking at Devontae, you're looking at AJ, you're looking at Jalen specifically, and I like all 3 of them here in fantasy football. That AJ Brown move for the Philadelphia Eagles was almost genius. That is going to do it for today's episode about the free agency and its biggest impact on fantasy football. Now, make sure you click on one of these 2 videos that are coming up on your screen and check out the Huddle Chat Sports. And if you made it this far, please drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the Huddle Chat Sports Show and check out the Rick T podcast on Sundays. Your boy will be there, and we have a great time over there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We got episodes coming out, and we're ramping up the speed of it at this point. We're getting ready to hit the point here over the first week of August where they're going to be coming out daily. So make sure you hit that notifications bell so you don't miss a single thing. We're here to make you a better fantasy football player. I'm doing all the hard work, so you don't have to. You can just look like a genius when it comes to those other idiots in your league. But as always, I'm your boy, Dallas Clark, also known as Indo is my Nindo, and this has been the Fantasy Football Huddle, presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Show. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, you're going to be never outworked, never out-hustled, and never outperformed. I'm the fuck up out of here, baby, and y'all have a good one. Peace out.